Hey folks, I've been thinking a lot about education and how it's being really challenged by the coronavirus pandemic and how teachers are having to come up with all kinds of new ways of communicating with their students, whether or not they're elementary school teachers, high school teachers, or university professors. And I thought, what would I do if I was in a situation like this? Well, my suggestion would be to use this program called Camtasia. It's a really nice program that I've been using since about 2013. You can make really interesting videos with it, but it's also a really good screen capture tool that I think you might find useful. So in this video, what I want to focus on are trying to come up with ways that a simple system that you can use very basic technology, not anything too complicated, stuff like what I've got right here, and I'll show you that in a minute. So simple technology, videos that are easy to make in terms of time. You don't have to spend a massive amount of time video editing. And then also ones that are visually interesting where you're actually on screen part of the time, and then you can cut over to your slides very seamlessly without a lot of complexity. So that's what I'm going to go through here. Again, this is using Camtasia to give visually interesting lectures and presentations without a whole bunch of complicated editing, all right? So here's three possible video timelines that I thought about. And the one that I'm going to suggest is this top one up here. So let me kind of walk you through this a little bit. So each of these timelines, think of this as a bunch of your slides. Here's the beginning of the presentation. Here's the end. So one scenario would be to just sit in front of your computer and have your students see you, which I'll refer to as a talking head here, and you could give your content. Now, I put a snoring symbol here just because I think this might be okay if you have something interesting to show them. You know, if you're writing on a board or something, this might be all right. But if you're just talking, it's going to be pretty boring. So I don't really think this is a good option. Second option would be sort of a narrated PowerPoint. And I put a symbol here also to indicate I don't think this is probably the most exciting way to go. It will have a lot of good visuals possibly if you're, put together a nice presentation. But again, I think there is something you can do a little bit more that will make your video seem like you're actually there in the room with the audience. And that's this top system here. So let me walk you through what I've got here. Every time where you see this green talking head right here in the middle and at the end, that's where I'm going to be on screen, like what I am right now, and I'm looking right at the camera, and then I cut back over to my visuals. Okay, so what I've done is we can imagine each of these being one slide. So there's 12 total slides here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So think of each of these as one slide in your PowerPoint presentation, and this period where you're on screen in the beginning, middle, and end being one of those slide areas. What you're going to need in terms of tools is some kind of a slide program. So I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. And then you're going to need Camtasia, which is made by TechSmith, and then a basic laptop computer with a webcam on it. And that's pretty much it. Let me kind of show you my little setup in my home office here. So what I've got, this is pretty basic, but all these little parts I think are helpful. I've got my laptop computer sitting on top of a box. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to have to be here's where the webcam is, and I don't want that webcam to be looking up at the ceiling. I want it to be looking straight forward at me like what I'm doing right now, so that it looks more like I'm looking right at you. I'm not looking down or something weird like that. So there's my computer, and that's capturing, the webcam is right there. I've got an external monitor where I've got my PowerPoint presentation. I've got my keyboard here that I'm using. I've got my mouse, and actually this is a really important one. I've got a glass of water. So, keeping well hydrated during a presentation makes your voice sound better, and it's a lot easier on you as a presenter. So I always keep a glass of water close by. What I've also got, and you don't need this, but right down here you can see I've got a microphone. This is the Zoom H1 microphone. It's a great little inexpensive microphone. It cost me about $100 or so. And it's actually connected to a lavalier microphone there. So right here on my chest, there's a lavalier microphone. I'm using that not because it's necessary. You could just use the microphone that's built into the laptop computer. But I find this gets a lot better sound control than if I'm using the laptop. But don't consider the microphone part something you need to go out and buy. I would say that's sort of a, if you really get into this, then maybe consider it. A microphone like what I've got, this lavalier microphone, is about $20. And it's just plugged right into my computer through my Zoom recorder, and it allows me to set the audio really well. So that's the basic setup. Oh, actually, one more thing I almost forgot. I've got two lights here. So this is LED fluorescent, or an LED shop light, two of them on the side. And that just keeps a little more light in my face so that I don't look like, you know, it's too depressing. When you're making a video and you're on screen, you want to make sure there's enough light so that you're not looking kind of strange or anything. And then behind me, I've got a just a sheet or a tablecloth or something so that you don't get to see the rest of the junk in the room that I'm in. Okay, so that's the basic setup. Now let's move on to the actual how to do this. So if you remember, I had that timeline up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slide. Well, here's a timeline. And this is that all those 12 different slides actually placed on my PowerPoint presentation. So here in PowerPoint, you can see I've got my slides organized in that order. And what I'm going to do is whenever I see this, I'm giving the talk and I see this talking head, that's when I turn my head and I look right at the computer, the webcam, and I talk into the webcam. And then when I go on to another slide where the talking head isn't there, then I don't have to look at the webcam. I can actually look at, I can look at my PowerPoint slides. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to rush through this. You know, this is an important thing with video. When you're making a video, just say you make a mistake, or you know, you need to go back and do it again. You don't have to stop the recording of your screen. You just need to pause for a minute or a few seconds and say it again, because you can cut that out later when you edit it. It's very simple. That's nothing complicated. Okay, so let's switch over to what things are going to look like in Camtasia. So this is the Camtasia program here. And what Camtasia is going to do is it's going to record your screen. It's also going to record, it's controlling the webcam as well. But this is what it'll look like when you first open it up, all right? Let me give you a little bit of an orientation. Right here is the canvas. This is where whatever you've put onto your video timeline is going to show up. Right now it's blank because here's where the tracks go. There's one track right now, but there's nothing there, so there's nothing up on the canvas. There's a bunch of different menu things that I'll talk a little bit about here later, but this is what it'll look like right when you start. And what you're going to do is you're going to click record up here, right? Now when you click record, this little box is going to show up, and it's going to show you a few things that you need to check on. First of all, what's your audio source? So I've selected my external microphone that I'm using, but if you don't have that selected, it'll just use your webcam. I've also got the camera is using the webcam, and then I've got it selected so it's recording my full screen. So that's on the external screen that I've got here. So that's where my PowerPoint presentation is being shown, and that's going to capture that. All right, so once you click record, then you're going to get a little box like this where you're going to see the time changing. The time isn't changing here because I can't actually make this video and show you this thing at the same time. I couldn't figure out a way to do that. But this is what the box will look like. As you go through your video, you'll see how long you've been talking. And when you're done, you're going to hit stop, and then you go over to Camtasia and you'll be able to see what you've got in there. All right, so here I am over in PowerPoint, and what I'm going to now do is I'm going to actually demonstrate how to do this in PowerPoint with Camtasia screen capture running. So I clicked on the record. It's already recording my screen. I've got my slides all ready. I can see that I'm on the first slide, and I'm going to go down here to the bottom, and I'm going to click on the slideshow mode. Now I'm in slideshow mode. Once I'm in slideshow mode, I'm not actually starting yet. I'm going to first make sure my pointer is set right. So I go down here to pointer options, and I'm going to go to arrow options and click visible. Let me just make sure that works. So right click the mouse, go to pointer options, and go down here to this, and it is visible. All right. So now I'm ready to begin the presentation. So remember, whenever this slide is up there, that's where I'm going to be looking into the screen. So let me demonstrate that. So this is a very quick demonstration of how you can seamlessly move between being on screen and showing your slides. So this first slide shows a highlighter, or a bunch of bullet points, I should say. The next one shows a little yellow sun and a mountain, and then a pie chart, and then a graph, and you can see things are going up in the graph. And then we've got this table right here. And now we're back at the little man. So I'm on screen again. I'm talking. I'm explaining whatever I need to do. Maybe I'm demonstrating something, you know, just trying to keep the audience engaged. And then I'm on to my next slide. So we've got another picture, a little darker color mountain, yellow sun. And we've got this interesting graphic right here. And then a red sun or something there, and then another highlight or bullet points, and then I'm back on screen. So that's the end of the presentation. So then I would click stop, and then we'll go over to Camtasia and we'll edit it together. Okay? Okay, here we are over at Camtasia, and what I want you to see is up here in our media bin, we have the recording that just occurred. So when I just did that demonstration, the recording was put up here, and automatically it's placed then in two different tracks, the screen capture track right here, and then the webcam track right there. And what you can notice here in the webcam, there's all these gray things that are going up and down, and that shows you the audio line, so you can see an area right in here where I wasn't talking, etc. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to a few things. Let's first move our playhead. So here's the this little thing up here is called the playhead, and we can move this through and we can see how the video looks. And we're going to move the playhead right to the beginning, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our mouse or our cursor is shown up as a yellow highlight. So we're going to go up here to cursor effects, and we're going to select this cursor highlight, and we're going to drag that. We're going to put that on top of the screen capture part. Okay, so we put that on the screen capture part, and all of a sudden you see the mouse show up. So watch as I move the playhead. You'll see, let's see, maybe I'm there we go, there's the mouse. There's a little bit of an area where I was moving it around. Okay, so that was the first thing. We got our excuse me, we got our cursor effect there, and you can actually see if I click down here, it'll show cursor highlight. So the cursor highlight has been added to the screen capture track. Okay, that's good. Next thing, number 2, is we're going to make the webcam image larger. So you can see if I click on that, I can move this around, and sometimes people will just put a little picture of themselves down here. I don't think that's a good idea, because why not make it big and just have it on there part of the time? So we're going to grab the corner and we pull it all the way up to expand it. Now notice that it's covering the screen capture, and the reason it's covering the screen capture is because the recording, the webcam recording, the camera recording is in track 2. So whatever is in the highest track number is on top. For example, if I was to grab track 1, the screen capture recording, and I pull it up and put it into track 3, now all of a sudden myself, the webcam is underneath. Okay, put it back down here. By the way, you can expand and make these smaller and bigger as you want, the height of the track, and that makes it a little bit easier to see, especially the audio. All right, so I've got myself there on top, and what we're now going to do is we're going to actually go through and we're going to check the areas where we need to have the transition occur. So let me actually move track. I'm moving the webcam on top, and now the other one is below, and I'm selecting both of them with my mouse, and I'm going to pull them both down here. All right, let's make sure this one is right in the correct spot. All right, so basically remember, whenever I see this little slide, that's where I need to have my picture on screen. So I'll show you how we're going to do this. We're going to move through here. I'm pulling the playhead across. Looks like right here, if you look down here in the audio, that must have been the introduction where I was looking at everybody talking, and then we switched to being to our first PowerPoint slide. So what we're going to do is we're going to select both of the tracks right here, and we're going to hit S. So select both of them with the mouse and then hit S. And let me move the playhead over, and what you'll see happen is there's this division that's been made here. So we split that. Okay, we're going to come back to this in a minute. So we're splitting it wherever there's supposed to be a transition. Now we move forward, and we're still, there's another part. So notice down here, there's a pause in the audio again, because I wasn't saying something. This must be the second. This is the slide right before I went into the talking head part. So we're going to do another split there. So again, we drag this across both tracks, and we hit S, which splits them again. Now, if you don't want to use that shortcut S, you can also just use this little, this little button right here, and that will split it. Okay, so let's look. So we remember, just to go back, we got our talking head at the beginning, then we got all our PowerPoint slides, talking head again, a little bit there. Let's see. Oh, and right in there, look at that, we transition again. So there's a clean transition here. I'm going to move to where I'm just inside of the PowerPoint slide, and I'm going to do another split. So again, select both tracks, hit S. We've made that split, and then we do this is the second set of PowerPoint slides. And there we go again. So right somewhere in here, right around there, we need to do another split. Okay, so watch this. So we got that there. We're going to select over those two again, and we're going to hit S. Okay, so now we've got everything split up. Now we just have to change the order of it. So wherever the talking head is, this needs to go on top. All right, let's grab it and lift it up there. Now I'm on top. Notice right there, that put me on top. Now we go, here's another section, I need to be on top. All right, so talking head goes on top there. And the last section, talking head goes on top. Now what we can actually do is we can take these three, actually select all those together and just pull these right down into here. Actually, hang on, that was a mistake. Let me do Control Z. That doesn't make sense. What we actually needed to do, I apologize, is we need to pull both of these down. We don't have to, but it'll make it look a little neater. Okay, so pull those two down, pull these two down, and then these pull two down. Okay, so now if you were to, let's watch a little bit of the video and you'll see the transition there between being on screen and showing your slides. So this first slide shows a highlighter or a... Okay, so you see that? There was a very clean transition. The audio continues, and I didn't have to do any editing other than split and move the webcam part on top. Okay, so this first slide shows a highlighter. Okay, so watch this. We're going to go through, and you can see the mouse occasionally move if I was using the mouse much. Okay, and then again for this section. And now we're back at the little man, so I'm on. Okay. Now there's a little section in there where it looks like I could have split that a little bit back there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Just for this demonstration, I just want to get across the point that this is very simple. Okay, so we've finished our whole video, right? Now, if there was any stuff in the beginning that you needed to trim off or any mistakes in there, you could go in and do those and delete those. But this is nothing very difficult to do. Okay, now to output this as a video, all you've got to do is essentially take your playhead, move the red part to the end of the tracks, move the green part to the beginning of the tracks, so you've got everything selected there. You right click on the mouse, you go down and you say produce selection as, and we're going to select this smart player media. You go through, just leave all these settings pretty much the same, and then you would enter your name in here and hit finish, and you're done. Okay, so once you've gone through that and you've done all those things, the video will render, and then it'll be put into into a file where there's an MP4 file, and then that can be shared through YouTube or however you want to share it. Anyway, folks, I hope this helped you understand how you can make a very visually interesting video without spending a massive amount of time on it, and pretty simply. So again, we've got sections in our video like that beginning where you're on screen, maybe in the middle you're on screen again, and at the end you're on screen. Now this is just a scenario. If you want to have yourself on screen somewhere in here as well, you could do that. Let me just say one more thing in this part. So just say during one of these times when you're on screen, you want to actually look at the students. In these periods where you're on screen, you always want to be looking at the camera, I think. But maybe you want to demonstrate something, like maybe you're talking about physics, juggling, and you want to just demonstrate something, or you want to turn around and write something on a whiteboard, or you want to, demonstrate whatever. This is an opportunity for you to use your body as a visual tool to help you communicate more interestingly than if you were just sitting there blah, blah, blind. Now, I often think of presentations that are kind of like narrated PowerPoints, kind of like if you had your head in a box, because the students can't see you. And I think during this time where there's a lot more need for online instruction, you want to have some kind of a facial connection with the students. You may not be able to see them, but at least they'll be able to see you. They'll be able to, it'll feel more like they're in a real classroom with you. Because when you're in a classroom with them, you're not sitting there with a cardboard box over your head. They can see your expressions, they can see how you gesture, things like that. And so what I'm hoping this will do is encourage you to try this method out. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe you'll figure out something else that works better. But hopefully this wasn't overly complicated. If you want to see more complicated videos, you can go check out some of my other ones. But hopefully this method was not a very complicated one. Anyway, so hey, thanks for listening. I hope this helped you. I hope this gives you some ideas. Don't be afraid to try experimenting, and don't be worried that it's got to be perfect every single time. I mean, it's not going to be. But hopefully when you practice a little bit, you'll get better and better at this, and it'll become pretty easy. All right, that's pretty much it for now. I hope this helps you. If you've got any questions, feel free to send me an email, or you could put a comment in the comments section of the video, and I will try to respond to those. Take care, and thanks for all the hard work that all of you do in communicating to your students in whatever capacity you're able to do that.